Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the afternoon session here at Autonomy Mobility World Expo 2023. Already, you'll agree with me, I'm sure many of you have been here maybe yesterday in the morning, afternoon, maybe this morning. Lots already been through already. City Voices, really exploring how cities can be smarter, better, making better decisions in terms of where our cities are moving forward to. Lots of insights. We've listened to the startup pitches as well. A little bit later on, remember, we are jumping into the Innovation Awards. So we have 21 finalists, but we'll be finding out who the seven winning concepts, seven winning companies of the Innovation Awards ceremony. That's a little bit later on, so make sure you're sticking around for that. But right now, it's all about how AI, how we can use AI, embrace AI, and understand it that little bit better, and some strategies and techniques that can really make shared mobility move forward, but probably more importantly, how it can actually be more profitable for business and making smarter decisions towards that. I'm intrigued as much as you are really to hear what this is all about. We had a chat a little bit earlier on, and they were telling me some of the cool ideas and the cool kind of things, rethink how we can use that certainly in business as well. So please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage right now, CEO and CEO, not the same person, two people naturally, at Wonder Mobility, Jana Bartels and Gunnar Froh. Come and join us on stage.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us right after lunch here, and you're the brave ones. Despite the general strike, we're going to try to make it worth it for you the next 15 minutes of your time, and going to take you through a little tour of our latest thinking here. My name is Gunnar, I'm founder and CEO at Wonder Mobility.
I'm Jana, CEO of Wonder Mobility. Yeah, and hope you have fun the next 15 minutes.
So here's our quick agenda. We don't want to waste any time, rush right into it. We are going to use this to introduce you to our company, what we are doing, what our product is, and then just recap the benefits of the journey that we're on of shared mobility. I think this is important. We keep reminding ourselves it's a long marathon, it's a struggle sometimes, and there's much to gain for us. Current industry challenges, you've heard about them. We're going to quantify them. We're going to be very direct and very open about where we think things stand. And then we're going to share with you a list of key metrics that we think we need to drive towards and we need to optimize to reach profitability as shared mobility operators, and highlight opportunities in those also using AI. Of course, everyone's talking about AI at the moment, and I realize we're far away from deploying that in a meaningful way in our industry, but we need to think directionally, because eventually the operators using AI will replace those who don't. And towards the end, an outlook, some caveats. Off we go. I get to do the advertising section. Wonder Mobility is the leading SaaS provider for vehicle sharing. We're 2 times bigger than our next competitor, and we're hosting bike sharing, car sharing, scooter sharing operators around the world that are using our API, building on top of us with their in-house teams. 80 million in funding, profitable by the end of this year. Teams located in Germany, clients across the world. We see and we talk to a lot of operators on a weekly basis, and we try to also think along what's ahead. This is a picture from our HQ in Hamburg, and the bike also is branded by us because it was designed by us. In addition to the software, we also now have a vehicles program. We have sharing bikes and sharing mopeds in this program, because that is a huge cost factor for our operators if they don't operate perfectly. The journey we are all on together, benefits of shared mobility, transportation, 3rd largest contributor to CO2 in the European Union, different from all the other industry segments. It's not going down, it's not improving notably. So decarbonization with electrification, with shared use, continues to be a priority. We have not gotten very far. We have the vehicles on the street. Percentage of trips taken in Paris, in Berlin, that are on shared vehicles, single digits, 1 or 2%. So it's still in the very beginning. But in addition to the macro aspect, there's also the personal aspect. freedom, ease of movement, giving everyone access to this kind of mobility. You don't have to afford a car, you can just use one. I think that's a huge enabler and a equalizer also for people in the city. And finally, hopefully a market. 100 billion is not my idea. That's McKinsey, basically. Recently, they published a lot on this and also did more recently and continue to hold this view that our market for shared mobility will grow from about 12 billion a year right now to 100 billion by 2030. By the way, what growth rate does that mean per year? It's one of the ones our human mind can't really do, right, in our heads. But that's 30% per year. So it's not unreasonable. It's what we had in the recent past and more than that. So we'll continue and it'll be a 100 billion business. But there are some challenges left. It won't be happening if we stay as we are. And so let's talk about what the key challenges are.
Yeah, as Gunnar said, it's not yet a perfect world around the shared mobility, and we need to tackle and we need to find solutions for the most challenges we see here. They are all kind of related to each other. The first one we see as a big challenge is the cost bucket. So we see high operational costs with the operators. They are nearly making a third of the P&L of an operator. So a huge factor, and especially if you want to become profitable, this is the biggest factor, you need to tackle and you need to work on. The second one is about heavy investments. So heavy investments means to match the regulations of the cities, which are at the moment, there's a lot of variety in these cities, and you need to match them. And you also need to make sure to offer a great user experience around all these sometimes crazy regulations, so to still let it feel great for the users to use shared mobility. The third issue within cost is about fraud and damages. So we see that around 15% of the expenses from operators are for fraud and damages. So this is a big factor which needs to be improved to become profitable and also to gain the trust and the acceptance in the market, which is needed to make it a successful and make it a good and sustainable market for the future.
Now our screen here just turned off, but we're gonna use this.
The second big challenge is around acceptance. So we do not yet see a big adoption for shared mobility. There is still a lack of acceptance, but also a lack of trust in the industry. So it is triggered by heavy regulations from the cities because they are lacking the trust, so they feel insecure with this new kid in the block. For that, they are creating lots of regulations, not really knowing what is the best one. And this is definitely something we see improving. So we see first cities and first countries putting the shared mobility into their transportation agenda for the future, so that they really see a future in there and really want to push this topic forward, which will in the end hopefully lead to more streamlined regulations all over the market, that we all can save cost there and also make it easier to match these regulations. So the third big challenge is about finding the real differentiators in the market. What we see is that most or the majority of the operators just try to offer the lowest price rate to gain the most rights against their competitors. But in the end, this will also lower their revenue, of course. So it's not about always being the cheapest in the market, the cheapest in the city. It is really about finding smart differentiators to higher your revenue and to get the most out of the customer base, out of the majority of the customers using shared mobility. We see already a few customers using real differentiators and, for example, partnering with advertisement companies to enable different revenue streams, but also to partner up with grocery or deliveries that they can use the vehicles for a lower rate, but they can then really lead to higher utilization in the market.
Now, after Jana talked about all these challenges, she gets to cover the difficult part. I get to talk about the positive. So we believe the key asset that we are sitting on as a SaaS provider, but that all operators are sitting on, of course, is data. And you've heard this for 10 years. Data is the new gold and so on, but in reality, it doesn't get used at the moment. This will be our key journey that we're on, becoming, transforming from a data-informed to a data-driven, data-led company. What does this mean? I would say we think most operators are even only partially data-informed at the moment, and we also are holding ourselves accountable to do a better job in this in the future, making that more easily accessible. In theory, they can already access everything, and everybody can do this, but is it consumable in the right way? Data-informed is basically that you are using data as one of the many input factors to your decision. Data-driven would be you're mostly driven in your decision. But data-led is it takes the decision for you. And that's ultimately where AI will come in. We are not yet at the stage where AI will come in, but we'll talk in the coming slides about what it will do for us in the future. Data-led will be when we don't set up a marketing campaign for our users based on their past behavior, but the AI knows that this user is about to drop off and what tools are at its disposal, and will then send maybe a custom coupon or just give a push message for a vehicle available, depending on what this person reacted to in the past, in the moment when a vehicle is actually close to their position, and it's a time of day when they had traveled in the past, taking into account all these kind of parameters. What metrics do we see operators really going after and that we think are most important in the future? I think this is a key takeaway. The first three are on the revenue side, and I'm going to go in the coming slides how they can be tackled also using AI in the future. And the last three are on the cost side, and Jana will tackle them. Fulfillment rate first, and our screen's off again. So fulfillment rate is the percentage of time when you have a user looking at the app, showing intent that they actually have a vehicle close to you. In ride-hailing, Uber calls this eyeballs. If they look at the app, there's a vehicle shown close to you, can approach in 3 minutes. In vehicle sharing, that's within 200 meters, or whatever your threshold is, probably 200 meters. Fulfillment rate today in the industry is 50 to 80%, typically. And most operators can't see this metric yet, even. But when you can think about the revenue potential, if 20, 30, 40% of app openings, people with intent, you don't have a vehicle in 200 meters. Using the same asset base, you could have more. So how is AI going to play into this in the future if you want to drive fulfillment rate? We have a number of tools available as an operator already today to influence how we match supply and demand. For example, by incentive zones, giving people the incentive to park or avoid certain areas, by hyper-targeted marketing, giving push notifications to individual users to remind them to maybe take a vehicle now because this is creating demand in that moment, or the brute force approach of reallocations, which are also taking place. And AI will look in the future at the revenue potential of an incentive measure compared to that revenue potential of the trip. So fleet utilization is the other side of the coin. You could drive fulfillment rate to the best levels by adding a ton of vehicles to the street, but then the fleet utilization would be low. So these two are managed in tandem. And a typical fleet utilization in vehicle sharing at the moment is 10 to 15%. So you have 2 to 5 trips a day. In the best case, some operators have 7 trips a day on average. And so that throughout the whole day translates into 10, 15% fleet utilization. The real big step change here, of course, will come when these vehicles can move themselves to you. And I'm not only talking about autonomous, I'm talking about remote controlled vehicles. This is happening in Hamburg, around where we work also already at the moment with companies who have a license for this, and there's an operator even outside of Germany moving this vehicle to a customer. But this alone even won't be enough, because you don't have patience in the consumer to even see a vehicle approach you for a while. It's the on-demand economy for 10 years, and you expect a vehicle to already approach where it's anticipating your demand. And that's only possible with AI to optimize for all these prompts at once, anticipating demand, knowing your options in terms of intervention, and then triggering this before the demand realizes. And finally, on the revenue side, the other, if I could only pick 3 metrics on the revenue side, fulfillment rate, fleet utilization, put the phone off, and rider retention. Also rider retention basically means much of our value creation is driven by a minority of our users, and they are the ones we have to identify not only in the revenue they make, but also in the costs they generate through their driving behavior or through customer support interactions, other costs that they trigger, and how many of them do we have at any moment? How do we get more of them? How do we reactivate them when they are about to fall off? And this is another area that for sure there's so much data available, change in consumer patterns. Someone used to ride every morning to the office, now they haven't for a few days. This should trigger an incentive. I have all these tools available that I mentioned in the beginning, but what's the one that is likely working on this user, and how much exactly do I have to give to not give too much? I think these will be the areas that we will go deeper and think deeper in terms of AI.
Yeah, the 3 drivers and key metrics related to costs is maintenance cost, trust and safety spend, and also the operating cost. The maintenance cost, we see that they are also around 1/3 of the expenses to do the full maintenance of the vehicles. It's a huge manual effort at the moment, so even if the operators are using data from former seasons, it's not yet the end. So with AI, you can easily run into a predictive maintenance case that you even know before the vehicle breaks or before an issue during the ride occurs and leads to bad user experience, that the vehicle can inform you, and you know on time that you need to take care of. You need to maybe take the vehicle out of the fleet. This is what AI really can help and really can reduce the cost by nearly 30% for the usage in the maintenance factor. In trust and safety spend, we also see that there are lots of spendings and that at the moment the adoption is not high, as I already said, but we see that AI can be used here to really drive this trust and acceptance in the market. For example, the insurance companies, by having more data, by having AI-generated data and the usage out of that, they will be able to give you lower rates because they have more trust into the whole system, and they can imagine much better what is the risk for them and what is the benefit for them. In terms of operating costs, which is a big issue with operators, it is not that the operator is not yet using data. They are using data to optimize their routes, to optimize their street operations, but it's not yet that they are really efficient in that. So there's a lot of human labor needed at the moment. And with AI, you can have real data, on-time data to know what is happening with my fleet, what is there in the market, and how can I optimize my street workers to swap the batteries, to charge the batteries, to clean the cars, or even to repair vehicles on the streets, to higher the utilization on the streets, and to reduce the cost in the end for human labor and higher the user experience, because they always have a clean vehicle, a running vehicle, and a good shape in there.
And then as a final remark, while we are running over the time already, we also have to mention some caveats. As we are going to begin to use this huge amount of data that we're sitting on and optimize our operations to make all this transition possible by having profitable operations, there are going to be new data privacy concerns, new security concerns, even ethical questions of discrimination between people that we are profiling in ways. So there's going to be a discussion needed in the industry, people that are meeting around here, meeting around other events, but also we are expecting the regulator to step in, and I think there will be a lot that we have to influence early on to be able to do these kind of things and not be excluded from them from a regulator perspective. So thanks a lot for spending these kind of 17 and a half minutes with us. And thank you for letting us run a little bit over.
Well, there you go. You're lucky.